Your grandfather, the Hand, will try to impress on you that Rhaenyra should be put to the sword. You must reject this counsel. We must not rule with cruelty and callousness. For all her faults, she is your sister, your father's daughter.
Do you love me?
You imbecile.
Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing another House of the Dragon Spotlight video. This time it's on Alicent Hightower. As I did with my videos on Daemon and Aemond, I'll be looking at her portrayal on the show, how it compares to the source material in Fire and Blood, and what we can expect in Season 2. While in Season 1, the characters that garnered the most attention from fans were Rhaenyra, Viserys, Daemon, and Aemond, and to some extent even Rhaenys, particularly after the spectacle of her escape from the dragon pit, I personally found Alicent intriguing, particularly after Olivia Cooke took over the role. As with Aemond, there were two separate portrayals on the show, Emily Carey playing the younger version, and then of course Cooke. Now, when it comes to Alicent, we have what I feel is the greatest departure from the book. On the show, Alicent and Rhaenyra are the same age, but in Fire and Blood, Alicent is actually 10 years older than her. Now, if you're a purist who wants strict adaptations that don't waver from the source material, you're not going to be happy with this change. But for me, it really worked, and I think it's one element that makes the story richer and more complex. If Alicent had just been a young stepmother to Rhaenyra, much of the conflict and the tragedy of the split between the Blacks and the Greens wouldn't have been as personal as it was. Making the two close friends and then having their bond split by Alicent's marriage to Viserys not only pays off in those early episodes, but it's a thread that will be there throughout the rest of the story. Without it, we just have a classic us versus them sort of battle. In fact, I would have liked to have seen a little bit more of the evolution of Rhaenyra and Alicent's friendship after Viserys' announcement that he was marrying her. There was a deleted scene of the two on Alicent's wedding day that I think would have added even more to understand the changing dynamics between them. There were, of course, some limitations due to the numerous time skips, but the show did leave me wanting more. It would have added even increased gravity to Rhaenyra and Alicent trying to patch things up.
Let me see the children home. I'll, return on Dragonback.
The king and I would both like that.
After Viserys' death, Alicent tried to work around her father to get to Aegon first, so that she could impress upon him the necessity of giving Rhaenyra terms. Unlike Otto, she doesn't just want to wipe out Rhaenyra and her children. We wouldn't have had any of this if Ryan Condal had adhered to the book version. And since George was closely involved in Season 1 of the show, something as large as eliminating the age difference between the two is something that you know he signed off on. Emily Carey did a fine job as the younger Alicent, handling the challenging role of a character being pushed into a marriage with a much older Viserys because her father was so power-hungry. It wasn't enough that Otto was hand of the king, but he wanted the further stature of linking his family to the throne through blood, and his daughter was just a pawn in this game.
Of my son, would you have me raise a man to steal his own sister's birthright?
It is Aegon that's being robbed. He's the firstborn son of the king. To deny that he is heir to the throne is to assail the laws of gods and men.
Alicent internalizes the pain from this life that has been forced upon her. It manifests itself in things like picking at her fingernails. She's trapped, and Emily Carey does a nice job of displaying how this shapes the character and motivations of the older Alicent that's played by Olivia Cooke. Alicent will become a person who works with the cards that she's been dealt. As heir, Rhaenyra had a lot more power and autonomy as a girl in this world than Alicent. Viserys also is much more lenient toward his daughter, and caring too. And this enables her to become an independent and strong person. This isn't to say Alicent isn't strong. She is in her own way. The first real statement she quietly but firmly made was entering the celebration for Rhaenyra in Laenor wearing a green dress representing the Hightower colors. Unlike Rhaenyra, Alicent exerts her influence behind the scenes, and this difference between the two makes for an interesting contrast within the story. Olivia Cooke has been outstanding at portraying Alicent's approach. She'll go to great lengths to get what she needs. What's striking about the scene with Laris is that while she's doing such things to get his help, she's still maintaining her own agency during it all. It's Laris that comes across here as weaker and more pathetic. Alicent is the type of person who might bend, but she won't break. She's become like forged steel after her solitary struggles as Viserys' wife. She's reached the point, too, with all that she's learned, to even best Otto by getting to Aegon first. He's even proud of her being able to do so.
Well played.
None of this is a game.
And yet you treat it as one. A charming contest, the prize a pouch of silver.
On an emotional and parental level, though, he's still not there. Otto doesn't feel as if he's sacrificed his daughter for power.
Oh, our hearts were never one. I see that now. Rather, I've been a piece that you moved about the board.
If that is true, then I made you Queen of the Seven Kingdoms. Would you have desired it otherwise?
I think it was excellent work by both Olivia and Emily as Alicent. Now I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with Alicent in Season 2. She has a very unusual dynamic with her children. Whereas Rhaenyra appears to have a balanced and loving relationship with her kids, for Alicent things are more rocky. Of course, though, Aegon is a deeply flawed and self-indulgent person. Surely some of his upbringing has contributed to that. The coldness and lack of true affection that Alicent received from her father seems to have been something that worked its way into her own parenting. She hasn't been able to connect deeply with Aegon or Helena, who physically recoils from her. The only child she appears to have a good bond with is Aemond. And it's not a coincidence that the two are closer in temperament. Aemond is more austere and self-reliant, so he connects more with his mother and needs less affection, seemingly, than his siblings do. This is why I'm fascinated with how Alicent is going to react to the news of Aemond being responsible for Lucerys' death. And it's not just because she was trying to avert war with the terms Otto provided to Rhaenyra, but Aemond is the one child she can count on. He went off with Criston to find Aegon, so is she now going to be deeply disappointed with him? We'll have Daeron Targaryen in Season 2, the only child of Viserys and Alicent that we haven't seen yet. I did a background video on him a few months ago that I'll link below. I'm guessing his dynamic with his mother will be much different than the rest of the siblings, since he spent a good portion of his formative years in Old Town, squiring for Alicent Hightower. What it comes down to with Alicent is that no matter where you stand, whether it be for the Greens or the Blacks, and I'm one who is in the camp of Team Black, you can't help but see Alicent as a complex and at times sympathetic figure. The one area where I question her most is when she took Viserys' delirious, dying words as a desire for Aegon to be king, when nothing he did previously suggested that he would be for this. He'd even just dragged himself to the throne to support Rhaenyra. This felt like a heavy dose of confirmation bias for Alicent. Despite how much Otto believes he did for his daughter, this is not the life she chose for herself. At a young age, she was manipulated to do what her father wanted, and for his own personal gain. And there was nothing she could have done about it. So Alicent is a victim of circumstances, and I feel as things continue to unravel, she's going to be a lot more remorseful and regretful than most of the people involved in this war. I'll be continuing these spotlight videos as we bridge the long gap to Season 2. If you enjoyed this one, make sure to hit the like button. And if you're interested in more House of the Dragon and A Song of Ice and Fire, listen to Caraxes and subscribe. I want to thank everyone for watching, and I'll see you soon.